Hello, everyone. I'm Dean with Loudmouth. We were hoping to have a very interesting and sort of a uplifting, even a comical type podcast tonight. But with the devastating news, Madison lost their mayor this morning. We're going to put that to the side. We're going to have a very brief. In fact, it's going to be me just talking a little bit tonight about a few things on my mind. Would like to commend Julie Berry and also Bob Courtney. I understand they've suspended their campaigns due to the tragic news we learned this morning. Kristen Peters is going to touch on that. I'm going to let her explain exactly what's going on. And also, vaping in our schools is becoming a concern. We'll hear a little bit from Tim Armstrong on that. Also, the burn ban continues for Jefferson County, and a cleanup is scheduled for this weekend. Kristen will kick off those stories now.
Mayor of Madison, Damon Welch, passed away this morning at 66 years old. A statement released earlier from the city says that Welch was rushed to KDH after waking up with health complications, where he passed away. Indiana law provides that the president pro tempore of the city council will become acting mayor until the vacancy is filled via a political party caucus. Therefore, Dan DiTillo, president of the city council, will stand in until the Republican Party of Madison holds a caucus. Welch was born and raised in Madison, graduating from Madison Consolidated High School in 1971. After obtaining his BA from the University of Kentucky in 1975, he served in the U.S. Air Force, where he attained the rank of captain. Welch was elected mayor in 2011 and re-elected for his second term in 2015. Welch will be missed by the city, and we give our thoughts to Welch's friends and family. We'll continue to update this story as more information becomes available to us.
We need to educate parents, and this is part of this, to educate parents what to look for. Again, some of these are just made just like a USB on a computer, and they're easily to disguise.
At the high school, I deal with it on a daily basis.
The junior high, we don't see it on a daily basis, but it's becoming more and more prevalent.
6 years ago, when I first got into schools, I was seeing cigarettes, I was seeing cigars, cigarillos, things like that. And really 2 or 3 years ago, I started seeing electronic cigarettes like this, vape pens, even 2 or 3 times this size. So they're very easy to spot. They're big, bulky, and then they'd also be carrying around
With the burn ban that the county commissioners have enacted, that means there's no open burning, no fire pits, no charcoal grills, any type of burning garbage or anything like that. Just period, no burning at all.
Pretty excited about this Saturday's events.
So this is a very special weekend here at Clifty Falls State Park. We have the KDH Run the Falls 5K. So that'll be happening in the morning at 8 a.m. So this supports the Girls on the Run program through KDH. And then they also give back some of their proceeds to the park for us, allowing them to host their 5K here at the park. And then it is also National Public Lands Day, and so this is something that all of the state parks and national parks celebrate throughout the United States, and it's a great opportunity for people to come out and volunteer at our parks. Here at Clifty Falls, we're going to be having a trail cleanup that's going to begin at 11 a.m. At the Tunnel Falls parking lot, and we will...
Once again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Damon Welch family. Tough day today in Madison. Also, you did hear a quick cut from the vaping, Tim Armstrong on top of that in the schools, and also Robert Black concerning the burn ban in our county. And of course, wrapping up there was the big cleanup scheduled for Clifty Falls State Park this weekend. Now, speaking of cleanup, have you heard of Scott Pelser? This guy's an actor, he's a conservative, and he's making a change as well nationally.
We are here in in the heart of West Baltimore, where they had the Freddie Gray protest. We made a promise a month ago. We came to the city of Baltimore to help pick up trash. Since we've done a cleanup in Newark, New Jersey, we've done Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the coolest part is we actually have people here from Virginia Beach here today that were at the first cleanup, all coming together in an act of love to help the city of Baltimore. We said we would be back, so here we are keeping our promise. My name is Scott Pressler. I want to train and empower the local people that live here so they can help do this and they can help bring the community together as a family. The Baltimore Sun wrote a scathing editorial criticizing us for coming to Baltimore. I never thought as an adult I'd see the day that somebody criticized us for picking up trash. I went on with Dana Perino on Fox, and I very respectfully, I invited the Baltimore Sun. I said, please, use your power, use your platform to let people know about this cleanup effort so we can have more volunteers. It's time to focus on West Baltimore. It's time that we not only see these problems and talk about these problems, but find solutions to make sure that this never happens again. I'm very thankful that these alleys that we cleaned up a month ago stayed clean, but this needs to be a long-term goal. We need to do this consistently. So to those leaders, come with us. To the residents of Baltimore, I want you to know I'm your brother. I don't live here, but I love you, and I want to work together as a team. We're picking up trash. We want to show the community we give a darn, and we hope that this will be one of many cleanups in the future to help the city of Baltimore and just show we care.
That's Scott Pelzer. This guy's definitely making a change. You ought to check out his video on YouTube. It is amazing, the cleanup efforts they've done, and for the homeless in Baltimore, as mentioned, and California as well. Which leads me to the next topic, climate change. 1 million kids were excused from school to protest climate change this past week. I don't quite understand how you can be excused for a protest. I thought a protest is something you did and you might pay a price for doing it. But anyway, a lot of controversy on this. I personally think climate change, we do affect it a small bit, but it's totally being blown out of proportion. I think it's another political avenue. And, well, we have a 16-year-old, which I'm sure quite a few of you have heard of this young lady, Greta Grunberg. She's 16 years old. This girl was diagnosed with depression at the age of 8. And a lot of our young people, I just think it's totally wrong to tell our young people that if we don't change things, our planet could be gone in, I don't know, they're saying 10 years according to AOC. Anyway, we have two opposing views tonight on this, and let's go ahead and listen to Greta first.
My message is that we'll be watching you. This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
I grew up watching Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. I liked Leonardo DiCaprio's Climate documentary. I wanted my mom to watch it. I was like, you got to check this stuff out. And then I supported Bernie Sanders in 2016. I didn't understand taxes, healthcare. And then once I kind of saw one lie and another, I started questioning, okay, like clearly the ocean is being filled with plastic. That's real. The skies are polluted. I suggest everybody uses a water filter, even if you have a filter. Just there are environmental problems. But I started to look into it, and I started seeing volcanoes under the Arctic ice. I started seeing NASA's data themselves and them saying, we don't even measure the whole continent. we only measure the coastlines. It's melting in some regions, it's growing. I took a trip to Alaska. They taught me how certain things melt for 100 years and they grow for 100 years. So the more I started looking, the more ridiculous nonsense I started realizing that maybe this is a distraction from keeping San Francisco and Los Angeles from cleaning the streets, cleaning the skies, cleaning the water, and just getting people to act hysterically. And the craziest part, even if you believe it is true, is two things. They actually have carbon machines now that could take carbon out of the air and do what they claim they want to do. There's trees that do that. And also India and China are two of the biggest polluters. So why is it always focused on the United States, who constantly improves, as these countries are running away with, 9 out of 10, I believe, polluted rivers are in Africa and Asia. So nothing, even if you think what they're saying makes sense, how they're acting makes absolutely no sense.
Right, their solution doesn't match what they tell us the problem is. So this is really interesting to hear you say that there's some lies that are told, and then there's some information that we simply don't have, that the climate change criers pretend that we have. When you were going through this transformation, when, first you were a fan of Al Gore and Bernie Sanders, and then you became not a fan, what would you say was the piece of information or the particular lie that was, not to use a bad pun, but the tipping point for you?
Yeah, it's hard to say the first one when it comes to climate. I would say with President Trump, I didn't like him through the election. I didn't vote for him, but I saw his full context speech, not just out of context clips, and I started listening. And then as an adult, I really learned how taxes work and how healthcare works, and how the Democrats, although they claim to help people like me, they actually force me into their health plan and give me a penalty. It's like literally like, buy this or we'll penalize you, where Trump said the opposite. You don't have to buy it. And me personally, I don't want to spend that money, but they make me. And then I just kind of shifted from there. I'm like, well, if they're lying about that, I've always known the media was lying. I've never been super into politics. I always thought both parties were corrupt. But I just kind of looked at a lot of, even MIT today tweeted about geoengineering, where, a decade ago they said it was a conspiracy theory. Now you have MIT, a very, well-known and profound school saying that. And then just little things where I'm like, okay, volcanoes, the ocean is mostly unexplored. I just kind of put it together one by one. So I'm like, if this is happening, how do we solve it? Is it happening? Are you allowed to question, they say they know everything, but most of the ocean's unexplored, and NASA themselves admits that they only measure the coastlines. Their satellites don't measure the snowfall. So who says the science is settled? I mean, the science on a planet that is mostly unexplored, it can't possibly be settled, and that's fine, but they're not looking to find a solution. They're not looking to settle certain science. They're looking to call everybody who disagrees with whatever they say a denier, and it's just simply not true.
I think he makes a good point, but I'll leave that up to you. Turning real quick to some national headlines. I know, unless you just been off the face of the earth, everyone is somewhat caught up in the national news with the possible impeachment of our president. It all goes back, according to me, it all goes back to 2016. Now, there again, here's a simple man's opinion. Of course, Hillary Clinton, she's at it again. She was stating that the fact that she lost the 2016 election, number one, voter suppression, and she also mentions Facebook, racist, sexist, and Macedonia. She doesn't take into consideration that possibly the fact that she received a subpoena for her emails that she deleted, over 3,000, and maybe she just wasn't a good candidate. I still believe in the deep state. I still believe it's going to come all around. I just really, truly hate what's going on with our country. But anyway, to give you a nutshell, in case those of you who want it in a real quick lump sum, what's going on, let's just take a listen to these cuts, if we will.
Former Vice President Joe Biden is caught up in a bit of a scandal. His name has been floated for the last year or so as a possible Democratic challenger to Donald Trump in the 2020 elections. But now everyone is talking about his habit of getting frisky with both women and girls in public.
He leans down, smells my hair, and then plants this big, long kiss on the top of my head.
Joe Biden's presidential campaign hasn't even officially begun, and people are trying to knock him out of the running.
Joe Biden is facing new accusations of inappropriate behavior.
Joe has a habit of doing things right out in the open, and while everyone is focusing on this rather touchy subject, some of his earlier deeds are not getting as much attention. Last year, in an interview, Joe bragged about getting Ukraine's general prosecutor fired. He says he was standing up to corruption.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
Well, it just so happens that the general prosecutor was investigating an energy firm in which Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was heavily invested. Burisma Holdings is an energy corporation in Ukraine, and Hunter Biden, the son of the former vice president, has made a rather handsome profit from it, especially in the aftermath of the 2014 events in Ukraine in which pro-EU forces took power. That prosecutor was looking into 3 different instances of foul play from Hunter's cash cow. However, all it took was a phone call from Papa Joe, and that prosecutor was out.
We had plans that included interrogations and other crime investigation procedures into all members of the executive board, including Hunter Biden.
Members of the board obtained funds as well as another US-based legal entity, Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC, for consulting services.
One might argue that perhaps Joe Biden had no idea about his son's financial interests. They say he's the vice president. Perhaps he was too busy running the country to pay attention to his son's finances. However, if he watched any American media, he couldn't have missed it.
Now, I ask you, anybody who has ever been in a position of power, let's go ahead. Let's hear it from our president first.
Texas and Ohio, President Trump continued to face questions over a phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
The conversation I had was largely congratulatory, was largely corruption, all of the corruption taking place, was largely the fact that we don't want our people, like Vice President Biden and his son, creating to the corruption already in the Ukraine.
The July 25th call has ignited a political firestorm following a whistleblower complaint. During the call, the president reportedly pressured Zelensky to investigate Biden's son Hunter, who worked for a Ukrainian gas company.
There was no quid pro quo. There was nothing.
Mr. Trump denied holding up military aid to Ukraine over the matter and said he's okay with his attorney Rudy Giuliani, who also reached out to the Ukrainian government, testifying before Congress.
What they're trying to say is I went there for a political mission to kind of get Joe Biden in trouble. Ridiculous.
Focus on the violation of the Constitution this president is engaged in.
Biden has denied discussing his son's job overseas.
If he was protecting his son and intervened with the Ukrainian leadership in a way that was corrupt, I do think we need to get to the bottom of that.
While some in the administration suggested Biden should be investigated, Democrats argued if the claims against the president are proven, then impeachment is the only option.
If the president is essentially withholding military aid at the same time that he is trying to browbeat a foreign leader into doing something illicit, that is providing dirt on his opponent during a presidential campaign, then that may be the only remedy that is co-equal to the evil that conduct represents.
Ukraine says no pressure was put on its president. He is expected to meet with Mr. Trump later this week during the UN General Assembly. Adriana?
And there you go. That's a little bit of what's going on in a nutshell. Now, anybody, any of you out there that's ever had a position of power knows people will try and undermine you. But what would it be like to have a whole organization after you? If you were an elected official who were trying to do what was best for the community you were serving, and the local media was continually attacking you and your family, I couldn't imagine. Now, in case you missed it, our president is possibly facing impeachment. Why? Because he doesn't know who to trust. I mean, when you think about it, the CIA and FBI, and I do believe it's at the very top, But when you can't trust your cabinet, you can't trust the people around you, there's continuous leaks, the media's out after you, your family's always under attack. I mean, really, it's pretty tough. So you got to ask yourself, if he didn't care, why in the hell wouldn't he just say, the hell with it, just give it to the media and whoever else wants to step into his shoes? Now, the president is currently, at our count, 22-0 against the attacks from the media and Democrats, and I feel the streak will continue. I feel he'll make it to 23-0, but it won't stop. They'll keep it up. They truly despise this man. And, you know, we're the ones that are probably going to feel the hit. Now, the stock market, I think what closing today was around 162. But when this continues to go on, stock market doesn't like change, doesn't like controversy. Our 401ks will be the one things that suffer. So it'll probably be us that takes an effect on all this. But in closing, let me just go ahead and say here real quick, Joe Walsh, a Republican congressman running against Trump for president, said earlier on MSNBC, could you imagine if Obama had done what this president done? Now, Walsh is a Republican congressman from Illinois. I don't think we need to tell you and talk about Chicago, Illinois, actually the city I was born in. Here's something else real quick. Here's some interesting points to think about prior to the 2020 election, especially my friends that could possibly be on the fence, like some of the moderate Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, and never Trump Republicans, and those thinking of walking away from the Democratic Party. Women are upset over Trump's naughty words. These are the women who also bought 80 million copies of 50 Shades of Grey. None of the feminists have ever defended Sarah Sanders. It seems women's rights only matter if they are liberal. No border laws, no voter ID laws. Did you figure it out yet? But there's more. Chelsea Clinton got out of college, got a job at NBC that paid $900,000 a year. Her mom flies around the country speaking at about white privilege. And just like that, they went from being against foreign interference in our elections to allowing non-citizens to vote in our elections. President Trump's wall costs less than Obamacare's website. Let that sink in, America. We are one election away from open borders, socialism, gun confiscation, and full-term abortion nationally. We are truly fighting evil. 60 years ago, Venezuela was the 4th on the world's economic freedom index. Today, they are 7th, check it, 179th. And their citizens are dying of starvation. In only 10 years, Venezuela was destroyed by democratic socialism. A socialist is basically a communist who doesn't have the power to take everything from a citizen at gunpoint. Well, that's yet. And how do you walk 3,000 miles across Mexico without food or support and show up at the border 100 pounds overweight with a cell phone? And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I just call her AOC, wants to ban cars, planes, and give out universal incomes and thinks socialism works. She calls Donald Trump crazy. And finally, I wake up every day and I am very grateful that Hillary Clinton is not the President of the United States of America. In closing, the left keeps saying, you know, President Trump, what he done was, without a doubt, it's an impeachable offense. And they say it's not about politics, it's not about this, no, it's all about saving our country and doing the right thing according to our Constitution. With that being said, let me close with this. If it was such a big deal and it's so important that we not make deals with foreign leaders, then just take a listen to this and see if you remember.
After my election, I have more flexibility.
I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and understand what.
Here it is one more time. This is President Obama at the time.
This is my last election. Yeah, after my election, I have more flexibility.
I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir and Alexander.
Now, in case you wasn't quite able to hear that, what he was saying was when I get reelected this next time, his second term, I'll have a lot more power. And he, of course, most of you know this, was talking to Putin, Russia's right-hand man. Nobody said anything. It was mentioned by, I think, Fox News and maybe a couple of other conservatives, I'm sure Rush Limbaugh, but nobody on the Democratic side. MSNBC, CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, none of them seem to think that mattered. And they're also saying the Biden situation doesn't matter. If our president did wrong, he deserves to pay. But I think we need to be fair and equal. That's my take. I appreciate you all for listening tonight. It's been a tough day. Things will get better. I'm sure it will. There's always a bright side. We will promise, I do promise to let you know about the NFL situation, how to get all your games free. Probably a lot of you already know that. In the meantime, I do welcome your comments and show suggestions. I'd really like to step away a little bit from the political stuff. If you've got something, whether it's hunting, some good Halloween stories, which we'll be talking about next month. Also going to hopefully be doing a show on pro wrestling here, and we do have some guys locally that partake in that. Anything, let me know what you think. My name's Dean. This is Loudmouth, and God bless each and every one of you. Prayers go out to the family of Damon Welch, and everyone be kind to each other and have a good week.